Hello everyone. Phoenix61 here with some more Legends updates, information, whatever you want to have you call it, right? So, no game this video, but I did wanted to call out something that I noticed in the store that popped up for this update is this $14.99 Eagles Unions Power Bundle. So, this is a really good deal on, even if it was just the ship, right? If you just wanted Baltimore at a premium version of Baltimore, right? Because you get there's an advantage to having the premium versions of ships too, because you get like the money maker perk, right? So you'd earn some more silver from this as well. But just looking at the ship, it's all the typical stuff. It's so close to just the original regular tier trek Baltimore. It's so close in stats, right? So I scroll through the specs here just really quick so you can see them. This is what it would be base without a commander, without any of your picks on it, right? And I think that it's always tough for me to compare and contrast one to one, but it looked like basically the biggest callouts for it were slightly better reload, like 1 second better reload, but then the guns also did slightly less damage, right? So, but you also would get Azurlane Baltimore Commander, right? And the big thing for her is this AP Salute ammunition, and it's tough for me to tell just how much, if that would be better than Punch Through or not, right? It's just so, you get more AP shell damage with Punch Through, but this one you get the shorter fuse time, which basically is supposed to give you a better chance for Citadel hits, right? But literally everything else I think is the same as Norman Scott, your normal free-to-play commander, right? So you'd pick Refill Station or, any of these. I tend to lean towards Fully Packed, right? And then her base trait is Rudder Shift Time. So, I don't care about that. Whereas I think Norman Scott is, better shell grouping or something, right? So, I'll go and take a peek at him, but just on the face of it, let's think doubloons wise, right? So the commanders, if you buy a commander, they're 5,000 doubloons. So here's Azurlane Baltimore for 5,000 doubloons, and ships at tier 7 are 17,500 doubloons. That is a lot. I don't think I've ever done that, right? That's a lot of money. That, when you convert that to real cash, that's a lot. So that's the $60-$70 range doubloon bundle. Let's go take a look. For a digital ship, to me that's too much, right? So that's why occasionally I'll buy some crates for something, and if I get a ship, then great, that's fine. But yeah, to get you, if you had 0, right, to get you over the top of that 17,500 doubloons, you'd have to buy this one, which gets you 20,500 total, but $70, right? So that's too, in my mind, that's too much for a digital ship in my mind. And then if you wanted the commander too, you need 22,500, so you'd have to go up to this $100 bundle to get yourself the 30,000 that you would need, right? That's a lot of dough, right? So that's why typically with collaborations and stuff, I think with the Star Trek one, I was I don't care if I get any of these, I'll buy some of the crates, because the crates are pretty cheap, but then you run the risk of getting nothing that you want, right? Or typically of me, I'll pick a commander, I'll pick one commander and then that's it. But for $15, you get both that originally would, if you were to buy them using doubloons, would cost you 100, right? So that's an epic deal. But I want to call out here, if you don't like the Baltimore, right? There's the regular Baltimore. It is so close in stats and stuff here. So play as the Baltimore first, right? Because cruiser play can be kind of challenging, right? I think cruisers are the toughest class to play, or at least to play well, right? So keep that in mind, right? So my recommendation would be, if you're even considering buying the $15 bundle, go and play Baltimore a few times before you actually commit to it and get the purchase. But if you like the Baltimore, then that's a steal, right? But I mean, also, if you like the Baltimore, you may have already bought Azure Lane Baltimore when it first came around, right? Like, but so I'll go into my stats. So like on mine, I have a decent win rate over here. You know, if you look at the towards the left side there, in standard I'm 63%. Like that's decent. That's respectable. So that's probably one of my better ships. So like, you know, take a look at your stats. If you already have Baltimore, take a look at your stats and see, you know, if you're above 50% or something, you know, like give yourself a baseline of like whether or not you would enjoy playing Azure Lane Baltimore, right? Just to keep that, you know, this is a good reference point if you already have it unlocked. Otherwise, like if you don't like cruiser play, like don't buy something that you're never, just because it's a deal, right? Like don't buy something just because it's cheap. You know, in comparison, you know, $15 for a digital ship, I wouldn't say that that's cheap necessarily, but so this is the like Geis on here, right? Mary East River, whatever. But so I hit it now, and so now you can see I'm using Norman Scott, like free to play commander, and his base trait is cruiser main battery shell grouping, right? So hers was rudder shift. I like the shell grouping better than the rudder shift, and then I'd probably use similar inspirations too, like better AP damage and grouping there, right? So base trait wise, I'd prefer Norman Scott over Azure Lane Baltimore, right? Like it's my opinion, right? But I think all these other options are all the same, with the exception of the third row down where you have that punch through versus, you know, whatever her unique one was called with the shorter fuse time. But that one took away the increase in percent AP shell damage. So you still had the AP shell multiplier, and then you had the shorter fuse. So whether or not, you know, I mean, somebody tell me if you've got Azure Lane Baltimore, like let me know if you're using that unique perk of hers and if it's worth it, right? But like, as far as base trait wise, you know, rudder shift, it's pretty, I don't think there's anybody I would use for, you know, rudder shift on as an inspiration elsewhere, right? Because that's what the base trait is. You can use that as an inspiration other places. I'm probably not going to use rudder shift, right? So I'd probably build her out the exact same way I have here as I have Norman Scott, and then maybe use that shorter shelf use time thing. But I don't know. So if I get this bundle, I'm not even going to use her definitely not right away, because I don't have hardly any commander resources. I've been going commander crazy lately, and so I don't have any. I have, like, you know, with the exception of Commander XP, like I'm low on promotion orders and insignias at this point, right? Like so, but like if you like the Baltimore, like even if it was just the ship, $15 is a steal in comparison to paying $70 for it worth of doubloons. So yeah, so I wanted to call this out, but like I said, like, you know, at the end of the day, it's still $15 for a pretend digital item that's, you know, in game, and then, you know, you've got to enjoy American cruiser play, right? Like, because even like, there's no point in buying it just because it's a deal, just to have it, right? Like, I wouldn't do that. So I'm considering it because I do decent with my Baltimore, and then I'd probably put my free-to-play commander on it still, and so it wouldn't be that much different. I think you'd get a lot more silver, right? Since it's a premium ship. But those are my thoughts and feelings for the day, guys. Make sure you're following the channel. Until next time.